Okay, well, you know what? I have some thoughts in regards to the bullet situation, but let's hear the jurors first. Once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Hm. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens. As only 2 bullets were found on scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted. You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Every which way you look at it, it was that pickpocket. I never imagined that simple operation would cause me such grief. The accused attempted a theft on the previous day. I can see I'm in for a busy day ahead. I am a ballistics expert. I have seen many shootings. There is nothing I do not know about guns. Well, so far, only juror number 6 and 2 have um, some stuff to say. It would seem there is little remaining room for doubt. I have to admit, I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in black. But when that fell apart like a house of cards, I saw that I'd jolly well been hoodwinked. Well, no more! Hoodwinked. That sounds familiar. Hoodwinked, hoodwinked. The whole courtroom is turning against me. I am surprised.
It's not fair.
Iris?
That prosecutor's being mean. Just because Jeannie's done some things she shouldn't have done in the past, that doesn't make her a murderer.
Allow me to savor this fruity vintage, while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate of the matter. Here's to the truth coming out. Eventually. Okay, well, the thing is, what with that bullet that we found on the calendar? It really makes me question. Yes, my lord. Like, if we are to go with 1 bullet for Windy Bag's gun, and that bullet is inside Windy Bag when we discovered him. And the second bullet was the one that shot Herlock Sholmes, and maybe I was wrong. And the bullet was still inside Herlock Sholmes, I guess. So that would mean that the third bullet that we see on the calendar is... like, if the Skulking Brother gun only had 1 bullet as well, then maybe we're talking about a third gun as well. I beg your pardon? Are you mocking Her Majesty's Armed Forces, the greatest military organization in the world? No, I'm simply illustrating my point. Making assumptions about people because they are a soldier or a pickpocket is wrong and dangerous. Yeah, might have a point there, I suppose. You suppose? But let's not forget the girl had already shown she had it in her for before. A criminal sword through and through. Can't deny it. When you say that she'd shown she had it in her, are you referring to this? Exactly. Tried to swipe that only a day earlier, Or am I mistaken? Nah, not really. Even that I was actually there at the time, it's hard to refute that.
I never actually seen the real thing. Can't wait to have a closer look at it.
Yeah, of course. I guess this is a hint at us checking the blood and such, but we already did that. Mr. Sholmes did use his caramel bars to make a copy of the disc, didn't he? And then ordered every type of music box he could find from across Europe. Do we still have that? Yeah, I don't think so.
I still don't know what tune he plays now, do we? But I'd love to see how the original compares to Harley's copy.
McGillet's disc. Could he be a clue somehow? Perhaps we should examine it in more detail. Okay. As only 2 bullets were found on the scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted. Is the number of bullets that has you convinced? Only 2 bullets were fired. and the 2 guns that fired them have been examined by the police. When the parlor maid asks me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings. Yeah, that's logical. Although, sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. 1 or 2 guests rather like the fine china. Does your employer do a dine with thieves or something? So I suppose, if there was another bullet somewhere of which we were unaware, I'd have to reconsider my position. Okay. A 3rd bullet, eh? Could that be possible? I guess this is another situation where we need some kind of evidence for that. Can I prove it though? Like, can I say that the bullet that we see in this portfolio right over here, can we say that this is actually the 3rd bullet? Like, okay, what if I am to assume... I could be wrong. Maybe that bullet was found in Sherlock Holmes and is not the same as the bullet on the calendar. Maybe I missed that detail where the bullet stayed inside Sherlock Holmes. Maybe. In which case... What the fuck? You're telling me that the police found only those 2 bullets and they never found that 3rd bullet that was, like, displayed in front of everyone, naked and such, on the calendar? They never discovered that one? Can I say that that would be the evidence? I think I'm gonna postpone that for now. I feel like we're gonna need to press some other stuff. This is another one of those situations where we have to examine the other presses and then come back to this one right over here and see about some stuff. And I don't imagine the good man of Scotland Yard would have overlooked anything. Yeah. If I missed a bullet while I was cleaning his lordship's office, well, I should receive a sound scolding, I don't doubt. And he should receive a visit from the police, perhaps. Sounds like a crime scene to me. Unless it's normal for your dinings where you live.
A 3rd bullet?
It would completely turn things around if there was one, wouldn't it?
Do you think we might find one lying around somewhere?
I guess we shall see. I wanna examine these guys. So I understood correctly, you need 2 pictures. And then you can see the scene in 3 dimensions, like this. So, if we have 2 bullets, I suppose you can see anything useful with them? Maybe give you like two images and then bam bam you see like another bullet? Maybe. I think you'll find that no matter how much you squint, the truth of the situation always looks the same here. The only person who could have shot the victim is that girl in the dock. How can you be so sure of that? Think about it. The Skulking brothers shot the great detective, didn't they? Yeah, that's been mentioned once or twice. Well then, surely it's coming into focus now, isn't it? This is a waste of time. I'm not going to change this man's mind anytime soon. Yeah, and we already gave him the spotlight before. So I feel like we should focus somewhere else. Would you please stop muttering about things that have nothing to do with this trial, sir? I'm getting tired of this shit! Thing is, I couldn't really say that it has nothing to do with this trial, to be honest. Really now? I mean, there's no question that the man was shot, but the bullet had simply vanished from his stomach. It's quite inexplicable, don't you think? I almost don't want to ask, but this surgery you've been muttering about all this time, you were operating on... Oh boy, I knew it. I had a feeling that we were gonna have another small rolled coincidence right over here. What was the fellow's name now? Herlick? No. Hairlock? No. Hairlock? Sherlock Holmes, by any chance? Yes! Good lord! It was that Sherlock fellow! You're the surgeon that operated on Mr. Sholmes, then. Oh boy. Well, that's just fantastic. I guess this means that you were the one responsible for injecting him with the anesthetics, like so much, that now he's slipping and such. Using the very latest anesthesia techniques, I might add. That's fairly rager up, I can tell you. That's just crazy. Let me see. The fellow's brought in long after midnight, if I remember correctly. They said he'd been shot by some criminal lawyer, so I wouldn't help like a shot. But the funny thing is, I went over his insides with a fine-tooth comb, and couldn't find the bullet anywhere. So I'm afraid I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back. Okay, what the hell? So, if there was no bullet when we discovered him, like all laying down, then it goes back to what I was... Although it is the stomach, though. Like, could we go... The thing is, though, the calendar would definitely be... The calendar would definitely be on a more... like, at a higher point than Sholmes' stomach. I don't know. So, if somebody is shot Sholmes in the stomach, then... you would definitely not get on the calendar as such. Like I was thinking, well, if they didn't find the bullet, then that would mean that this would be the bullet. But no. Maybe somebody stole the bullet. This is definitely an interesting mystery here. We need more information. I hate to state the obvious, but yes. Surely that's because the bullet is still at the scene of the shooting. The counsel for the defense is correct. As clearly shown in this photographic print, the bullet that the Skulking brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region. The bullet that the Skulking brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region, then exited his body and dodged into the shop wall where the calendar was hanging by the door. Well, okay, that's what I was thinking before. Is that really the case at this point? I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem three-dimensionally. Huh! Who do you think I am, son? Juror number 4 is about the best I can do. Not surgeon, that is for sure. As soon as I saw the wound on the man's stomach, I flipped him over. Like a pancake. Are you saying that you checked his back? Of course I did. And there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign that the bullet had left the body at all. Okay. In which case, that's definitely not the same bullet that shot through Sholmes. That's the point! The only logical conclusion was that the bullet was still somewhere in the man's innards. Which is exactly why I said about slicing him up. But then what the hell? I mean, Sherlock Holmes was shot fairly recent, and we came in and looked at him. Like, how would the bullet disappear at a crime scene? He got shot. It would seem that bullet did not penetrate Sherlock Holmes' body like through and through, so you would be right in that logic, in the sense that the bullet would have to still be inside. But if you couldn't find it, then where the fuck did it go? Could it be that that somebody else helped you during the before while operating? Did you have like any help? And maybe they stole the bullet. Huh, it is interesting. And I'm still none the wiser even now. How many times do I have to say this? Can somebody please explain how it happened? Can somebody please solve the mystery? It's almost as much of a mystery as how this injury was put together. Yeah, like this is crazy. Where's an expert when you need one? Oh, well, you know what? We do have an expert like right over here. Those two statements clearly contradict. The idea that I do is pictures against each other. Yeah, exactly. You're not technically pitting against each other with contradictions, but rather we're combining some people right over here to help. Oh, a ballistics expert. Pitting. P-I-T-T. On the night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulking brothers. But since there was no sign of an exit wound on his back, we must assume the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, a bullet was found lodged in the wall of the shop where Mr. Sholmes was shot. Juror number 6. Okay, so I'm thinking of this. How the bullet disappeared from Sholmes' body, I still don't know for sure. But I feel like I know the intent, if we were to determine how that bullet disappeared. Somebody would go in and steal that bullet from Sholmes, just so that we would think of that bullet on the calendar as the same bullet that shot from Mr. Sholmes. It is a misdirection here. Like, the culprit definitely wants us to think that the bullet was the same one that was on the calendar. However, that is not the case. Meaning that the culprit is trying to hide the fact that that bullet on the calendar and the blood right over there came from the culprit. They wanted us to make us think that it came from Sholmes. All that green blood and such. Yep, sounds about right. But how that bullet disappeared, that's still something that I have to think about. Hello, my name is Vern. Pleased to meet you. And this apparent contradiction in the facts that is so clearly troubling during before. Are you able to explain the mystery? I have seen very similar situation in Motherland. It was night. There was blizzard. I was running away a long mountain road. It's freezing cold. Golly. The snow was piling high on both sides of the road. It was very narrow and dangerous. My pursuers had hunting rifles, and they were on dog sleds. Mental note. Don't ask too many questions. Dog sleds? Adorable. I was shot from behind, and I fell down in the snow. This situation was very similar to what I hear today, Doctor. They could not find bullet in my body. And no sign of, how do you say, exit wound. Then where did the bullet go? Bullet never hit me. If it never hit you, why did you fall down? Bullet hit frozen wall of ice, very close to my side. What? Okay, so you're telling me that... Huh, well, I guess there is that option. To make us think that a gunshot was fired on Sherlock Sholmes when in actuality he was hit with something else? With what, though? Like, I'm not sure how technologically advanced. We are not even talking about technology. We're talking about, like, experts investigating somebody's body right over here. They say that it was a bullet, like, opening, I would assume. In which case, the culprit definitely needed something to hit Sherlock Sholmes that would be similar to a bullet hole in the body. Otherwise, you would immediately know that it was not a wound from a pistol, but rather a wound from a similar weapon of sorts. One small piece, very sharp, broke away from lump of ice and pierced my body. It made a deep wound that looks just like bullet. Good gracious. Of course, piece of ice quickly melted inside. And that is the solution to mystery of disappearing bullet. Could there be something that can be of use? Can you help me with something here? Mr. Smiley Stereoscope? What could be used on Herlock Sholmes? And I guess there is a reason why Herlock Sholmes was sleeping all the damn time. Because of the anesthesia. But that doesn't answer the question at all. The shooting happened in a pawnbroker's shop. Not some snowy mountain road in another country. Just an idea, but we might not be looking at exactly the same scenario here.
Reno, when exactly was Hurley shot again?
According to the report, in his stomach. So around this area, I think.
Well, that's precisely where he always wears that little pouch on his belt.
A pouch on his belt. A pouch. Actually, I might have noticed something like that.
Yeah, a pouch. It's where he keeps free glass files of every dangerous chemicals that he used in his investigations.
Glass files. What? Really? Doctor, where's the pouch that Mr. Sholmes was wearing? Well, the fellow had nothing like that on his person when he arrived at the hospital as far as I remember. If I may. Lord Van Zix. Well, I realize it is forbidden for the prosecution to interject during a summation examination. I shall inform the defense that I have the pouch in question in the antechamber, outside the courtroom. Sorry? As I understand it, when the police arrived on the scene and found Mr. Sholmes injured, they removed the pouch in order to assess the wound. Ah, thank goodness. I thought I was getting forgetful for a moment. Since then, it has been in my safekeeping along with all other evidence related to the case. I can personally vouch for the fact that it has not been touched since the incident occurred. Very well. While extremely unconventional during a submission examination, I must demand the prosecution presents the item in question with all speed. Bring forward Mr. Herlock Sholmes' pouch. Okay, I am pretty curious. I see. So this is the pouch worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question, is it? Yeah, and one of the vials got broken. Look at that. One of the files is broken and the letter around it is scorched black. It's almost as if the file exploded. So it was an explosion? I guess so. You know, a gunshot would be similar to an explosion. Maybe the file exploded and it made a wound similar to a gunshot, maybe? I guess that would be an explanation, I guess. Exploded. So, that night, the bullet from the Skulking Brothers' gun struck Mr. Sholmes' pouch. And it was the glass file exploding that caused the fellow's injury? Huh. I guess so. Well, that is surely something that I never would have thought of before. And like, this is the first time that I'm even hearing about these files exploding that were on Sholmes' on Sholmes' possession. It is definitely an interesting event here going on. This bullet did not penetrate the victim. It was deflected into a wall of shop. Well, I don't know about it being deflected into a wall of shop, though. A delightfully complex aroma. Well, it would appear one mystery has been solved at least. Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case. The bungling and the burgling birds shot the detective, and the accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered. Well, this is the mystery is solved. I can sleep easy now. Yeah, and I was thinking before, like, how the fuck they managed to to get the bullet, like, well, the culprits, that is. Like how the bullet disappeared before here examined the body and such. Like maybe they went inside the body and just scooped it up, or the bullet just fell out of the body just as easily. But no, apparently it got deflected from the pouch, and yeah, it fell somewhere, and the culprit managed to snatch that out so that they wouldn't be at the scene of the crime. Thank you, young man. Da. Thank you very much. I'm glad I could help. I guess. Though I guess this doesn't mean that you will change your verdict on this case, does it? No, sirree! Not at all. Due to its bearing on the conundrum just solved, the court will sequester the scruffy pouch as evidence.
This pouch isn't scruffy.
Okay. The pouch Mr. Sholmes was wearing around his waist at the time of the shooting. Now, the submission examination. Okay, well before that, is there something else that we can do with this? I definitely hit the back as well. The explosion. There's a hole there at the back. Doesn't look like a bullet hole. Well, clearly something's ripped through the leather with great force. Yeah. Could very well be the explosion. And this fella has been smashed to pieces. Presumably this is where the bullet struck.
Since the bullet hit the chemical in that file, there would have been a really big explosion.
Big explosion.
I heard his potions and chemicals are amazingly useful for the investigation work he does. But they're also quite tricky to handle. Safely at least. They are very dangerous. I'm sure that when this file broke, the chemical inside would have ignited.
Not self. Always walk on the right side of Sholmes in the future. The left is dangerous zone. Yeah, and there's also the bullet hole right over here. Yeah, it definitely looks like it was shot.
The strap is broken. Look.
This must be where the bullet hit then.
You see.
There's the bullet! It's still inside! Oh my god! What the? Iris, look! Okay, so it was not, like the culprit did not grab this behind where the broken file was. Do you see it?
That's the Skulking Brothers bullet.
A stroke of luck that it hit this pouch. This is an amazing discovery. What this means is there were 3 bullets fired at Widdy Bags that night.
Found exactly what that juror was talking about. The Fred bullet.
It's time to press that juror again, I think. Alright, we actually have the evidence. Now I can go back to juror number 2 and talk about this. It would appear the defense is somewhat struggling to alter opinion. Please, my lord. A little more time. After all, that's a new piece of evidence. It could be a valuable clue, and you can't afford to overlook anything here, Ryunosuke. There's still a way to turn this around, somehow. I'm sure of it. Alright. We are on our way to victory right over here. Let's see if we can end this submission examination. It is possible. Allow me to show you then the 3rd bullet. It is right over here. How about this apple? Eh? It looks very juicy. Yes, on the night in question in Windyback's pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired.
Hold it!
What is this new trickery, you Nipponese conjurer? Where did you find that bullet? Right here, it was lodged inside Mr. Sholmes' pouch. What? It was right in your hands. This pouch was removed from around Mr. Sholmes' waist before he was taken to hospital. And since then, it has been touched by no one. Do you mean to say the shot fired by the Skulking Brothers that night? Yes, as your lordship has surmised, it hit this pouch. But that makes no sense whatsoever. We already know the whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Shums. It's clearly visible in this photographic print.
Nah, that would actually be a completely different bullet. Possibly coming from a different gun, maybe? Unless it's the same gun as the Skulking brothers. I still don't believe that there was only one bullet that was shot from the Skulking gun and such, but I guess we shall see. 2 guns from the scene have already been submitted into court record as evidence.
Yes, that of Mr. Wittyback and that belonging to the Skulking brothers.
An examination of both guns revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each. Again, I guess this will come from examination.
In which case, we're talking about a third gun.
Ah. But that must mean... That's right. We know now that on the night in question, 3 bullets were fired. However, only 2 bullets were fired from the guns recovered from the crime scene. And until that uncontrovertible inconsistency is somehow explained, we cannot and must not pass judgment. Having another heart attack there?
Hold on! While this summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. Facts that would appear to shake the very foundations upon which the case against the defendant has been built. This is my prerogative in the situation. I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination.
Oh, suspend?
But by Jupiter!
What? I have never heard of that one before. Suspend the examination? Okay.
Bailiff, bring the witnesses back to the stand at once.
You guys are fucked.
Witnesses. Governor! Were you listening to proceedings while the defense carried out the summation examination?
We was, Governor. We was.
Perhaps we can dispense with the tedious preamble. Simply answer this one question. A third bullet has been identified at the scene of the crime. What do you make of that?
Make of it, Gov? I don't make nothing of nothing if I can...
Is it one of yours?
God blimey, Gov. God blimey. Not a chance.
In that case, did you have an accomplice?
What? What? Never! The Sculpting brothers work alone. It's just the 2 of us. And that's our trademark.
How soon we forget poor Sulky. Only 2 of the bullets from the crime scene originate from the firearms we have in evidence. The 3rd bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it?
Lummy. That's an head scratcher. Could it be that he has it? This he that you were talking about before?
Counsel for the defense.
Yes?
I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments. The 3rd bullet, and the mysterious missing firearm from whence it came. Thinking back about the testimony we've heard and all the evidence we've seen, I think I'm starting to form a picture. A picture of what really happened that night.
Something tells me that... Well, could very well be that there was a 3rd person there, right over there, not just these two skulking idiots. But we're talking about a 3rd person who had his own gun. And it would definitely explain the blood on the calendar. Same thing with the blood on the music box disc. My lord, I think it's clear what this 3rd bullet tells us about the Skulking brothers. They had a secret accomplice, they had a gun, it's nothing to... I'm gonna say that they had a secret accomplice. On that night at Wittyback's pawnbrokery, the brothers must have been working with a 3rd man. The witnesses are clearly doing their best to cover up the existence of this accomplice. But the evidence all points to the fact that there was someone else present. Someone carrying a gun.
Objection!
An accomplice, you say? Pigs will. These protracted proceedings have already forced us to endure 2 submission examinations. Yet in all that time, there has been not a murmur or a third man. If this apparently wraith-like being exists, the court must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed. Yeah. The prosecution demands answers on 2 accounts. Firstly, proof, evidence, that this accomplice was ever at the scene of the crime. And secondly, the identity of this spurious character. The Skunkies are lying. I know that. They are trying to hide someone. How can I ascertain the identity of the person they are hiding?
Oh, counsel?
I'm supposed to prove the existence of this accomplice and reveal the person's identity. I'm supposed to the prosecution demands, my lord. The defense is... Well, again, we could go with presenting the blood sample portfolio, present this right over here, and tell them that this blood definitely does not come from Herlock Sholmes, and we could tie in with the music box disc and thus make us think of Edgar Benedict right over here. So, let's see, I'm gonna say that we're ready to present. The defense is ready. I believe I can provide all the answers that the prosecution demands. So, my Lebanese friend, despite the swimming eyes, you seem to think you have something to say. Yeah, we have quite a lot of things to say here. This promises to be interesting. I have to push forward now. There's no other option. I need to use every single piece of evidence available to me if it will make a difference.
In that case, counsel, I would ask you to present the evidence without delay. On the night in question, in the moments leading up to the death of the victim, what proof have you that there was a third intruder present at the scene of the crime? I'm gonna present this right over here. The evidence is right here in this portfolio. By Jove, that portfolio again, is it?
Do you expect the court to rifle through your papers itself? Be more specific. Well, we are gonna be specific if you are to let us, you impatient Lord of Darkness, you edgy motherfucker. Alright. You claim all of those blood samples prove the presence of this third intruder. Well, which one is it? It will be this.
What am I looking at here? There appears to be some green paint of such like around the bullet hole in the middle of the calendar.
That's a bloodstain, my lord.
A bloodstain? What, is that a bloodstain of a ghost, or what the hell is that?
Do they even, I wonder what ghosts are pictured in their minds when they think of one. Like, what do ghosts look like? Do they look green in their eyes? Green blood. Curious, even for you. Is the court to understand that the intruder was some inhuman creature? It's something developed by Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
By the great detective!
Yeah, I'm sure that juror number 2 would be quite ecstatic to hear about Herlock Sholmes. New invention. Stop. None yet appeared in stories. Stop.
It's this, you see. It doesn't have a name yet, though. This fucker sprays a chemical that reacts with different elements in people's blood to change its color.
Different elements? People's blood?
Yep, everyone's blood is slightly different, you see. Because it's made up of different elements. So by seeing what color it changes to, you can tell in the flesh whose blood it is.
Oh, that brings a whole extra dimension to looking at blood. Talk of blood in courtroom. Stop. Very exciting. Stop. As an example, this one shows the blood of the victim, Mr. Weedyback.
Ah, striking blue.
Yes, So you see, the green color that's bloodstain on the calendar shows that somebody else was shot in the main part of the shop. And given the fact that we discovered that the bullet did not go through Sholmes, this would mean that this was not Sholmes' blood.
Now hold fire there, young man. Could be from some unrelated incident, couldn't it?
Yeah, but did you see what is written on the calendar? It says 16. Like, right, like, at the instant. No, it's not unrelated. The date showing on the calendar is the date on which Mr. Windyback was killed.
By golly.
Yep. Which means that whatever happened there with the blood and the bullet must have happened like right when the date of the calendar changed, or a little bit after that. Therefore, we can assume that whoever was shot on the same day, after the calendar was changed.
Now whose blood is it?
Well, the Skulking brothers in the stand don't appear to be suffering from any gunshot injuries, as far as we are aware. Which means it must be the blood of somebody else. The third intruder, in fact.
Objection!
Whose identity the court is still waiting to hear.
You cannot delay this any longer, my learned friend. Who is this alleged third intruder? We're gonna go with Edward Benedict right over here. We've seen the blood on the music box disc. If we connect the dots, like quote-unquote green dots, we're gonna have to definitely offer some explanation over here and see what the deal is. The man's name is Eggert Benedict.
Eggert Benedict?
Who on earth are you talking about, Consul? He paid a visit to Windyback's pawnbrokery on the afternoon before the incident took place. When the accused attempted to deceive the pawnbroker into releasing this article into her possession. Exactly. The man identified by the defense, Mr. Eggert Benedict, then attempted to take the article from the defendant by force. Broker.
Yes, sir.
I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you, no?
Yes,
The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once. Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull? Give me back my overcoat, you rascal. And needless to say, any music box discs too. Discs, plural. Inspector Gregson was there at the time. I can attest to what happened. In the end, it was the inspector himself who took the disc.
Can you corroborate this account, Inspector?
Yes, my lord. That's more or less what happened. And in the interest of being thorough, I asked Windyback for a print showing the film. Yep, at 11 AM. Taken from one of his red-handed recorder gubbiness. Yep, that's him talking to Mr. Windyback that morning. Good thing.
You claim this man is the brother's accomplice.
Well, Mr. and Mr. Skulking?
I've never seen the geezer before in my life.
I mean, you had quite a... you were saying that quite fast after that delayed reaction there.
On me life, Gov. On me life. Never seen him.
Alright, spill the beans, guys. There's no longer any hiding. There's no longer any need for you to hide.
Well, somewhat unsurprisingly, it appears our witnesses disagree with the assertion.
I'm sure your lordship recalls my learning police friend's actual assertion, which was that he could prove the identity of the alleged accomplice. Yes, and I can.
Then show us the evidence.
I agree. I must see proof that the clean-cut gentleman in the photograph is the filthy criminal you say he is. This is the last piece of evidence. I've had a feeling that something has been missing in this trial from the very start. But now, I'm going to drag it kicking and screaming into the courtroom. Oh, Haggard Benedict is gonna have the day of his life soon enough. We are definitely gonna cross-examine him.
Are you ready to present your answer to the court then, counsel?
Indeed, my lord. The defense will present the evidence now. Proof that the man pictured in this photographic print was in fact the person struck by the third bullet. Proof that the man pictured in the photograph was in fact the person struck by the third bullet. Well... okay, well that's a completely different thing. We have this music box disc. Actually, yeah, we're gonna go with the music box disc. Because we already examined this and it had green blood. And, well, the same green blood comes from the calendar. With the blood on it, so we're gonna present this. As I mentioned before, on the afternoon of the day in question, the defendant attempted, deceitfully, admittedly, to reclaim this disc from Weedybags.
Which is when the aforementioned Haggard Benedict appeared on scene, I believe. This man then attempted to purloin the article from the defendant's possession, no?
That's correct, my lord. I myself was present at the time. It was following this that a minor incident occurred.
But of course, son. Here's the disc for you.
Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. Wait a minute. That desk is mine.
Gah! What do you think you're doing, you little tramp?
You've drawn blood, you filthy animal. Being a music box disc, it has countless small bumps. It has countless small but sharp metal protrusions over its surface. Those protrusions cause Mr. Benedict's finger to bleed. And the resulting smear of blood is still visible on the disc now.
Goodness! A bloodstain, is it?
My assistant and I have just analyzed the bloodstain here in this very courtroom.
Using my trusty fucker gun.
Yep. And we added the results to this portfolio.
I say!
It's green. It's exactly the same color as the blood around the calendar. Stop! The evidence is conclusive. The man calling himself Mr. Haggard Benedict, who was in Windybags earlier in the day, is the accomplice who was present at the scene of the crime that same night. Hooray! We did it! Now get those two fuckers out of the witness stand, and let's have that Haggard Benedict here. So there was someone else. Look at those two brothers now. They're sweating buckets.
Oi! What are you talking about? It's boiling in here.
My lord, it is the opinion of the defense that Mr. Haggard Benedict should be summoned to the courtroom to testify.
It would certainly seem that we can ill afford to ignore this gentleman's apparent presence.
Objection!
This has gone on long enough now. This flagrant ignorance of the mechanics of law. Sherlock Holmes, you say? Yeah. I've heard a name. I've heard the name of that crazy lunatic. The protagonist in a series of short stories for the vulgar classes. A god of detection of some such. Well, you're gonna say that you're not a fan of detective stories? You're not a fan of Sherlock Holmes? That would make you a criminal! Just kidding. And now you employ chemical substances devised by this fantastical persona in the highest court in the land? What, you don't think that he exists? We expect us to take you seriously. The samples made by this plaything are not fit to be called evidence. So the bloodstain turned a shade of green. What of it? Here's to you successfully proving that no other blood in the world would turn the same color. I mean, it still stands that it is somebody's blood. Like, okay, let's say that it's not Sherlock Holmes. I guess by luck, if we were to find out that the brother's blood and Gina's blood are not green, then there was definitely somebody else there at the scene of the crime that had green blood. If we were to go with the idea that it's not Edgar Benedict. In which case, that is still something that needs to be questioned here. Well... And pray, do not even think of suggesting that we should take Mr. Sholmes' word for it. Or what? Are you gonna kick Ryonosuke, like in the butt? And you want us to examine your boot, so that we would determine that the blood was actually green as well? I don't know. I mean, he is a great detective. What are you talking about? I knew it'd come to this. Yeah, I guess so. You know, when it comes to that portfolio and such, it was quite easy. But, you know, it is a new invention. I know that some people are going to have a little bit of a disagreement with us using that, given that it was never used before. It is definitely something. Of course, Mr. Sholmes' invention isn't going to be recognized by any official body. But what other choice did I have?
I'm just remembering what Father Christmas over there said before. About how he was temporarily suspending the summation examination.
Yeah, that's right. I guess the summation examination is still suspended right over here. Can we continue that a little bit? Oh.
In other words, the examination isn't over yet, is it?
Oh my goodness! I actually forgot! What did you just say, young girl?
In the summation examination, the decision as to whether or not the trial continues is in the hands of the sick jurors, isn't it? So the way I see it, it doesn't matter what certain other people think of Harley's invention. At least, not for now.
Yep, she's right. This could buy us some extra time.
Thank you, Iris.
Yes, a little smart cookie.
Lady, you have quite a devious mind.
It just comes down to one thing. Whether these ladies and gentlemen of the jury are convinced by what you say, Runa. Is that about right, what you say? Or did I misunderstand something?
No, you're perfectly right. It is up to them to see if they're convinced. If not, then we are surely going to convince them. Unbelievable. Mr. Sholmes' partner is a force to be reckoned with.
Iris says so. Sharpshooter. Bam bam.
After that shrewd presses of the situation from an entirely unexpected source, it must be acknowledged that the previous summation examination has yet to reach its conclusion. This is absurd. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court now looks to you for your final leanings in this matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, I'm sure we'll come to fair and just conclusions. So then, state your final decisions in turn, please.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Guilty.
Guilty!
Not guilty.
Oh.
Okay then.
2 called guilty and 4 called not guilty. Such is the outcome of the summation examination.
Objection!
My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage. The prosecution refuses to accept this decision. On what grounds? If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction devised by a pretender to real police work, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgment of anyone's guilt.
In which case, question the entire jury system, buddy.
Sorry, Lord Van Zix. The outcome of this summation examination cannot be ignored. This trial will continue. Good. Nevertheless, we found ourselves in a rather awkward situation. The defense has very reasonably requested the subpoena of a new witness. But sadly, I fear that will be impossible.
Why? What?
The name the gentleman gave for himself, a.k.a. Benedict, is quite clearly false.
Okay, that was a little bit too much. I don't believe it. Just when I'd imagine to prove the man that was there, I might. It proves that he never existed to begin with! He was a ghost! What the fuck am I singing right now? What is that? Like a... Is that a... I don't even know what I was singing there.
Who was that, please? Who spoke?
It was me, my lord.
Oh.
Juror number 5. The person that actually went with the guilty.
What have you to say, madam?
If possible. Inspector.
Eh? Me, Mom?
I wonder if you might show the photograph to me again. The one in which the gentleman is shown. Right. This one, you mean? Oh, Mr. Benedict? Oh. Shut the hell up. Don't tell me that you actually recognize this guy. Are we gonna find out that Egbert Benedict is actually juror number 5's, like, son? Yes. There's no doubt in my mind. Juror number 5. You don't mean to say... You know this man? The world is getting so small right over here, we're getting crowded. Yeah, I know him. What?
No. Good gracious! Order! Order! Juror number 5. How on earth?
I'm a communications officer. Stop. As we can clearly see, the gentleman in the photograph is... Stop. Also a communications officer. Stop. He works in my office. Stop. He works in your office too. A very talented operator, in fact. Stop. He should be in the communications station now. Stop. Tapping away on the telegraph. Stop. This doesn't seem right somehow. Put my finger on why, but it doesn't feel right. Feels like too much of a coincidence. And also, a guy like him? Well, you know what, not to devalue the communication officers of that time, but... I don't know, I thought that he was a rich person. I don't know.
I suppose we all imagined the accomplice would be some sort of hardened criminal. It'd be unexpected to find out that he has a respectable job by day, whatever he gets up to at night.
And with a personality like that, I thought that he was some stuck-up, I don't know, aristocrat or high politician or something like that, I don't know. Yeah, I suppose that's it. I suppose that's why I felt something was wrong.
If the gentleman is at London's communication station, we should be able to subpoena him within the hour. Lord Van Zix, if you please.
Yes, my lord.
Make the necessary arrangements, with all haste.
As your lordship birds. Did I say birds? As your lordship birds. As your lordship bids.
The court will recess for 1 hour. When the new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony.
Alright. A little bit more recess going on. Alright. Time for a little bit of recess. Because again, this trial is going to be a long one too.
Inspector Gregson,
Yes, my lord?
I should like to hear from you specifically about events at the prom burglary on the day in question. Come to my chambers during the recess. Oh?
Yes, sir, my lord.
Very well. Court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m.